Back to Celebrity Radio, it's Alex Belfield talking to one of my favourite people and one of the country's biggest stars. Alec Jones has been on TV and radio as long as we can remember, and he's back with another CD. It's called One Voice, Believe, and I'm delighted to say Alec joins us on the phone now. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, thanks for that.
I was looking in my little black book, and it's over a decade since we first spoke. I think it was around the Strictly time. It's been a long time you've been at this, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? When you bring out an album or do something like this, that it's a time when you also take stock, and it's it feels like I've been around since the dawn of electricity. But this is album number 33 for me, which is amazing, really. I've been very, very lucky, to be able to release albums, and I'm still enjoying it.
What I've noticed about your career is you don't go down the celebrity route, you don't go down really the reality TV route, you keep yourself true to what you do. I think that's great for longevity. It might not make you front page news, but it's good to be here sort of 10, 20 years later.
Yeah, well, again, there's no grand plan, to be honest with you. I kind of do what I enjoy, and hopefully that comes across in the stuff I do. I'm passionate about the singing more than anything, because that's been the first, and thankfully the last year I've been singing probably more than even doing the presentation. I've been very lucky to release the albums in Australia, and I've been over a couple of times with tours and stuff. So it's as I say, I don't sit down and think with a huge team of where I want to see myself in 10 years or anything like that. It's more or less just go with the flow,
I don't want to put producers off for TV, but is that easy? Because to me, standing in front of an audience and singing is a gift and a talent. Do you find that easy? Is that the fun bit of what you do?
I love my show I do for ITV for the simple reason that I get to do long-form interviews with people. So, for television I get 11 or 12 minutes. And in that time on television, you get to know a hell of a lot. I have to do a hell of a lot of research. If I'm interviewing somebody who's releasing a book, I'll read the book, I'll go and see them in their play or in their musical, because I just feel that I owe them that, really. And and I suppose from being interviewed over the years by sort of many different presenters, you always do your homework, you always know what's happening, but a lot of people just wing it, and I never wanted to be that person who just wings it. I want to be the person who has hopefully shown a bit of respect to the person I'm talking to.
Is it disappointing to you when you see interviewers, or you're interviewed by people who haven't heard the CD, don't really know who you are and care even less?
No, I just get on with it.
It is shocking, though, especially on TV. You can be easily caught out, and you see it on the daily shows, and I have sympathy, because you can't read every book, and you can't listen to every CD, but when you haven't got a clue, you can see the chink in the armour pretty quick, can't you?
It's hard for the guys that do the dailies, though, because it is relentless. I remember for the 2 years at Daybreak that, you literally, you're on the conveyor belt. I did Monday to Friday with no break. I think the guys now do either 2 or 3 days on, which is kind of bearable, I think. But for me, after 2 years, I was completely exhausted. I was falling asleep at tables on Friday evenings and stuff like that. So, it was a great learning curve. But equally, on a show like a daily, you don't really get very long to talk to anyone, whereas I'm a lot more interested in the more sort of Michael Parkinson type interviews that you get into underneath the skin, if you like.
And again, you have this warmth and sincerity which comes across, which is lovely. I wonder, during that period of waking up at 3 a.m. to do Daybreak, whether at this point you look at it with fondness, or in a way whether it was more trouble than it was worth.
It was a really good learning curve. It was brilliant.
Right.
And also I was working with my mate, working with Lorraine was great. I learned such a lot from her. If there's one person who really knows how to do live daily television, it's Lorraine. She's very, very bright, and she and I had a lot of fun. A lot of fun during the breaks. We're just normal people, so we tended to sort of make each other laugh a lot, and in that respect, I'm very grateful for being given that opportunity. And you don't do something like that for 2 years without it sort of seeping into you and learning from it. Really, I'd never done anything like that before in my life, so it was from the frying pan into the fire, really. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Is there any pressure, like a light coming on in front of you at 8 a.m. and knowing you're talking to the nation, and if you stop, the whole world's going to know about it? Because especially on that show, there was so much hype and press around it. Everybody cared and was watching, weren't they?
But you just go with the flow. I'm not a person that sort of dwells on that really. I'm quite kind of secure in that sort of environment, and also some people say I'm a little bit warped because I quite like it when things go wrong, just having to adapt with that. And I think that just comes from being in front of a live audience. I never prepare what I say before a concert, and I just go with what happens, the vibe you get that evening. So, and I've been doing the concert since I was 12 years old, and I'm 46. So, it's a long time.
Do you still get a tingle of excitement on the Sunday show when you see somebody listed that you've got to interview who you care about and are interested in? Is it still thrilling?
Oh yeah, God, all the time. I get very excited about the music guests. I love it when sort of not just the up and coming bands like the Vamps and people like that. They're established now, of course, but getting to know them has been brilliant through my TV show. But also, bands like Deacon Blue and all those ones I used to listen to in the 80s. I love it, and I suppose it's having that mixture of music. And I've always thought there's not enough music on TV anyway. So, to be able to do that is great.
You seem to cope well with those who have got one-word answers or don't really want to be there. Have there been many of those lately?
No, not really, thankfully. It's usually actors that find it quite hard, and I never quite understand that. I suppose they're used to presenting to be other people, but the way I see it is I'll know everything about them by the time they sit in front of me, so I could probably answer the questions for them as well as ask them.
Yeah, you're doing a bad interview when your questions are longer than their answers. That's the first rule. We look at this new album, and it was one of three. I hadn't realised that this was sort of a trilogy, and it's the last one. And again, a very spiritual album, and it gets to celebrate your voice and, of course, the spiritual side of what you do. This is perfect synergy, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's going back to the beginning. That's basically it. With the first One Voice, where I sang with my young boy voice, and made history with that. It was folk songs, and then there was a Christmas album, and this was the one where I'm just going back to the Ave Marias, the Umbra My Foos, the Lord is My Shepherd, the music that I've always sung through my life, really. And again, Little Aled is involved, and it's incredible where the idea with One Voice was that I found this tape in my parents' airing cupboard that had been languishing there for 30 years. Decided to duet with a young voice. Well, when that album came out, Leigh Clark from Bangor Cathedral, where I was a boy, suddenly remembered that he'd recorded my voice when I was like 9 3/4 or something ridiculous. And so he went into his garage and found this old reel-to-reel, which I couldn't quite believe. He sent it to me, or gave it to me, and it's tiny little 5-inch tape, and he had basically recorded me in Bangor Cathedral when I was 9 3/4, and so he decided to put those three tracks on the album. So you get to hear me sounding incredibly childlike, and the voice is all over the shop. But then you spool forward sort of 4 years where I'd been singing solidly, and there's the sort of the polished performer, if you like. So being able to sing with Little Aled again, and also on this album, my son got involved as well. He's 12. He sings at school. He's never had a lesson in his life, but happened to remark one day when he thought, he's getting taller, he's getting older, and he said, what a shame we never did anything together. And I turned around and said, well, listen, I'm going into the studio in a couple of days, mightn't you come with me? He did, and he sung just a lovely, genuine, heartfelt verse of The Lord's My Shepherd. And yeah, it's every time I hear it now, I sort of tear up, really, because I love it that it's on there, because it's there forever.
We've spoken a lot over the years about show business and your achievements and your success and your longevity. We haven't talked much about you as a dad. I guess all of the stuff we have talked about is irrelevant when it comes to that hand in yours, isn't it, really? I mean, that's the legacy that you've created.
Oh, without a doubt, they're everything to me, and I'm so proud of both of them. They're both incredible human beings, probably down to my wife more than me. But they're kind and they're loving towards each other as well, and I just love being with them. I was away for a lot during their younger life, which was rubbish, to be honest with you. But that was my job back then. Whereas now, they're so interesting, and I'm thankful that I'm home and I'm with them. And I absolutely love it.
I guess there's that period where they need to be with their mum and they need to be at school or whatever. You're getting to the period where they'll be able to travel with you. That gets exciting when you've got international tours, I suppose.
Yeah, Lucas has been with me quite a bit, actually. We went to Helsinki a few weeks ago, I was doing a TV, so he just came with me, and that's brilliant. You know, it's always good fun. And they've been to Australia once with me, although they didn't see a single concert. They just went on the holiday bit, and I saw them at the end.
I guess you're just dad. In fact, funnily enough, I was just talking to Michael Whitehall a few moments ago, Jack's dad, and we see you, of course, as Mr. Showbiz, but to them, you're just dad, and we have to remember that they're sick of hearing you singing probably as much as you're sick of hearing yourself.
Oh yeah, 100%, and I'm so not showbiz at all. You know, I lead a very kind of normal life. You know, I'm not particularly good on a red carpet or anything like that because, I always tease my mate Mylene about this. Mylene Class, there's no point me doing a red carpet because she'll be the one that everyone wants to see.
Yeah, I feel the same. There's not going to be much clicking of a middle-aged man, really, is there, when she stood there in a dress?
And also I find it so alien. You know, I don't know. I feel out of sorts when I'm on that sort of environment. But you know, I suppose then I've got to the stage in my life where it's, you know, head down, get on with the stuff I like doing, and see what happens. You know, it's. I suppose that's what I try and live my life by.
We're talking on a week when probably within the next 10 days I'll be walking around supermarkets hearing that song. We've spoke about it before. I don't think we spoke about it in a few years. I know there was a period when it sort of defined you and was slightly irritating. I think you've managed, because of TV as well and being a presenter, you've sort of moved away from the Snowman, but at the same time we still love you for it. Where are you at with that now? Because the kids must love it too.
I'd be an idiot if I didn't acknowledge and love the Snowman. You know, there were years where I didn't work at all, and let me tell you, that check in January came across very handy. Yeah. I'm amazed that it's lasted as long as it has, and the fact that, you know, I wasn't even singing it in the original film. It's the song has seemed to resonate so much with people, and you know, I get little kids coming up now and saying that they listen to it and where their parents and maybe even grandparents. You know, it's quite kind of scary.
Yes, yeah. When they've got a beard and they're saying they grew up listening to it, you know you're getting old. Yeah. And
it's happened.
And it keeps getting reborn as well, doesn't it? Because they keep remaking it and they keep doing different things with it, which is so lovely. And again, what a compliment that it touched people. And that story certainly did.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it was on the last One Voice album where I duetted, because Howard Blake, the composer, wrote a piece for me, or a part for me as a man now. So, you know, I actually accompany my boy voice as well. And that was an amazing experience, really, to come full circle, if you like. But yeah, there was a time when I was younger and I'd hear it in stores and places like that, and I'd get really embarrassed. But now I tend to kind of front it out, really.
What's Christmas like in the Jones household? Do you love to all be together? Do you go away? Do you stay at home?
I would stay at home usually, or go and see grandparents, but it's very, very traditional, you know, eat too much, drink too much, and watch rubbish on telly.
And as for spirituality in the church, I mean, we so associated you with Songs of Praise for so many years, and we loved you on that. How important is faith at the moment to you? It's been such a dodgy year. I mean, I was just recording in Vegas when that terrorist attack happened, and I have to say, for the first time, I stood there looking up at that window thinking, how could this happen? There's been a lot of how could this happen in the last few years, isn't there?
Absolutely, and you know, my faith hasn't really changed, to be honest with you. You know, I don't go to church very often, but I suppose my relationship with God is through my music. You know, even when I'm on stage in Australia or wherever, in the darkness, if I am singing the music I'm singing, that's my connection. You know, I wouldn't put myself down as a fantastic, brilliant Christian. I struggle with a lot of it. You know, I occasionally curse. I'm just a normal person, if you like. And I suppose that faith has to adapt to your life as well. I think that, you know, you take from it what you need, and what gives you comfort and what gives you hope, I suppose. And a lot of it, you know, I struggle with, as everyone does, especially, as you say, when these awful things happen. But, you know, my goodness me, I'm not a good enough theologian to come up with the answers. You know, as far as Songs of Praise is concerned, I loved presenting that show for the simple reason that, you know, I meet interesting people. I come away feeling better about life because maybe they have a greater faith than I, or a greater belief. But, you know, my job on Songs of Praise is to convey that, really, is not to, you know, wear my faith on my sleeve. It's to bring out other people's, I suppose. And equally, you know, I will always love a hymn. Okay,
Yeah.
It's in my DNA. I've sung them all my life, so I hope I never stop singing them.
I tell you, one of my favourite spiritual moments is to see you at the Royal Albert Hall, either at Christmas or during that big sing, and hear all those people just being one for that one moment is the most glorious feeling. How is it for you stood on that stage? Because you've made it when you're there.
It's a wobbly knee moment.
Is it? Right.
I've done it for 17 years now.
Yeah.
Which probably means, and it's an incredible experience, as you say. Everyone singing together, especially in that hall, because it's like a cauldron.
Yeah.
And the sound just hits you. I can only say that it's affected me probably a little bit more when I sang the Welsh national anthem in the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, and in that respect, I could feel people's breath hitting me like a warm wave, and that's when knees went, face went. I was a gibbering wreck. But yeah, no, it's been a real privilege to present the Big Sing for those 17 years. So it's an amazing experience.
What an amazing life and career you've had, and you're still incredibly successful. For me, you're a great start, and I thank you so much for your time over the years, and we wish you all the success in the future and with this brand new album, One Voice Believe, out now by Aled Jones. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.